Hey, how's it going, everyone? And welcome back to Monster Taming and Chill, where we interview various game developers of the monster taming community in order to get a greater insight of their work. So today I'm with Nour, the developer of Final Stardust. How's it going, man?
It's going great so far.
So far, so good.
Yeah.
So we'll get you to explain the specifics in a bit, but Final Stardust is essentially a story-driven monster taming JRPG that takes inspiration from games like Yu-Gi-Oh, Pokemon, Golden Sun, and is currently undergoing its Kickstarter with about 2 weeks to go. It's already managed to reach its 10,000 euro goal. I believe it's around 14,000 at the moment, and it's planned for both PC and Switch. I'll link the campaign if anyone if anybody watching is interested, so you can check it out after we're done here. But yeah, so why don't you tell us about yourself, Nour?
Okay, so my name is Nourdin Saidana, but I always ask people to call me Nour. I think it's easier to pronounce for everyone. And I currently live in France, and it's kind of hard to say what I am because I do a lot of things, or I did a lot of things. So you can say that I'm like a creative person. That's how I would call myself. And I'm gonna explain. So basically, I started YouTube in 2011, November, and I was doing something called AMVs, and it's like basically video editing.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
AMV is, yeah, anime music video. And so I did that for like 5 years, and I participated in a lot of contests and stuff like that. I even joined like a team and stuff like that. So I acquired a lot of skills in video editing and design. But eventually I lost my YouTube channel because I got like copyright strikes.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Like back then it was really awful. Like now if you use a song you get copyright claim,
Yeah.
but before like one song was enough to terminate the whole channel, and many people lost their channel. So
Mm.
after that I kind of lost the motivation to keep going, and I didn't do anything for like 6 months. And after that I started playing a game called League of Legends,
Oh yeah.
and I was really I was really into that, and I was like, why not make montages? I have some video editing skills. I'm gonna use that, and I started making montages for fun. And eventually, after like 1 year, I got 1,000 followers, and I kept going, started making guides and stuff like that.
Mm.
And after like 2 years and a half, I got like 14,000 followers or subscribers,
Hmm.
and I was very very active, and I was basically one of the most known guys who played with the champion that I was playing with, which was Ari, called Ari.
Oh yeah. Okay.
And there was only one guy that was more known than me, but he kind of retard, so I got all the attention. But yeah, I guess I was lucky. Like I was really on my way to like make a big channel, but I was going through a lot of problems at that time, a
Yeah.
lot of financial problems. Also, my mother went to the hospital. I have no father because I was raised by a single mother,
Okay.
and to avoid like creating a lot of trauma, I had a lot of problems, and I was like, I don't care about gaming anymore. Like I need something
Yeah.
else, and I started going into like more personal development stuff, and
Yeah.
eventually I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna document some stuff that I'm doing, and that's it. And eventually I wanted to turn that into a business, so I was really hustling all the time, always working, and like after 1 year, 1 year and a half, I solved all the problems that I had, all the financial issues and stuff like that. But after like 2 years into that, I was kind of craving that creative stuff. I was
Yeah.
like, yeah, this is business and stuff, but I really want something creative, man. Like I didn't do video editing for a while and something like that. So I was like, okay, you know what? Let's list everything that I have and let's see what I can do. And so I was like, okay, I can do video editing. I understand some stuff about design because I used Photoshop a lot. Um, I did some gaming stuff, a little bit of streaming.
Hmm.
I have like a master's degree in software engineering,
Hmm.
and I spent like 2 years learning Japanese. I mean, I'm not fluent, but I know a good amount of Japanese. Like I can play a game in Japanese.
Oh wow.
Uh,
Okay. Cool.
yeah, like some RPGs. And I did stuff about business. So when you combine all of that, it was like gaming company, JRPG, game dev,
Yeah.
and all of that. And that's how basically everything started. And so that was like 4 months ago, and now the rest is history.
There you go. So you mentioned that you have a master's in software engineering. What inspired you to make
Yeah.
the shift over to game development instead of just I'm guessing software engineering is just as it sounds. It's mostly to do with like creating applications and stuff like that. What made you decide, hey, I'm gonna make a game instead?
Um, Actually, yeah, you can say that, but software engineering is really like pretty much the same everywhere. Like, if you did web development, which is what I mostly did in the past,
Yeah,
it's pretty much similar to game dev. Like, you have to tweak a couple of things, but it's the same concept. Like, coding is coding. It doesn't matter what you're
yeah,
doing. It's very, very similar.
yeah.
The only thing is that I felt like game dev was more creative, especially with video editing and stuff like that.
Oh, for sure. Yeah,
Like I can use stuff related to art, related to music, which is something that I can't really do with web
yeah,
development.
yeah. No,
Uh,
that's actually really relatable because like I don't have that much coding experience, but like I can code a bit, and I actually took web design in high school and I hated it, absolutely hated it. But
yeah,
and you're right, it's not even that different, but it's just what you're coding just makes so much like me like constantly messing around with the website that they wanted me to make. It's just like, oh, it's so boring. But then when you're coding a game, constantly having to test it and stuff like that, I don't know, for me at least, it's always like, oh, this is so much better.
yeah. Actually, it's funny because I used a lot of Java in my classes, and
Hmm.
I hated that so much.
Yeah,
And actually, when I started using Unity, the game engine that I'm using right now,
yeah,
it's C sharp,
yeah,
and it's pretty much the same thing,
yeah,
literally. And so now I enjoy it, which is funny because before I hated that.
yeah. It's good. Okay, so this is the big question. Tell us about Final Stardust. What is it, and what does the game sort of entail?
Okay, so it's kind of hard to define it, but it's basically how can I say? It started from things that I wanted to do. So it's basically two things. Pokemon was always my favorite game, especially in the first generations, and
Yeah,
I wanted to do my own version of Pokemon and add the things that I would have loved to have in a Pokemon game.
hmm.
So a little bit of a variety during the turn-based battle system, some voice acting. I don't know why they never added that even now with the recent
Yeah,
games.
yeah,
And I also wanted to kind of revive a little bit Golden Sun
yeah.
because for me it was the best JRPG and it's completely forgotten. Like if you talk to anyone who's like 18 years old, no one knows it.
Oh,
It's only
really?
like
Oh, yeah, yeah.
uh,
You know what?
yeah,
Yeah. Now that you mention it, yeah, we're a little older, but yeah, you're right.
yeah. It's only old people that know the game, and it really had tons of success in the past. But for some reason, the developers decided to continue with Mario Tennis and stuff like that.
Yeah,
I guess it was more profitable to them, so I can understand.
yeah,
But yeah, it's basically like a combination between Pokemon and Golden Sun, and me adding some original concepts to the game and trying new stuff, like basically taking some risks. It can maybe it can work, maybe not. I don't know, but for me, it's like how do we say it in English? Go big or go home.
yeah.
That's how that's how I roll.
So, the game features various monsters. They're called Planos because I guess they're from space. What was the
Yeah.
inspiration behind having I'm a big space nerd, by the way. Like I love space. I think
Oh,
space is the coolest thing
that's
ever.
pretty cool.
Yeah. So, what was the inspiration? Like what made you say, hey, you know what? Like I want my monsters to be from space specifically.
Actually, a lot of ideas start with me saying, okay, I want to make my own version of Pokemon, but I don't want to make a Pokemon ripoff. I want to make Final Stardust,
Hmm.
like to make a different game. So I was trying to find different concepts. And since I was taking a lot of ideas from Golden Sun, it used a lot of stuff related to planets,
Hmm.
Venus, Mars, etc. So I was like, okay, I can use that. And the second part of it was like in Pokemon, because my game has more story than Pokemon, and in
Yeah.
Pokemon, they never explained things about monsters. Like they never said, okay, the monsters come from different planets, so they come from another galaxy or whatever,
Yeah.
and then they are on Earth because of this. It's just like they are on this planet, and that's it.
Yeah. They
But
don't really explain why they're there or what they are. Yeah, you're right.
yeah, exactly. So I was like, if I make stuff about story, or if I have a story that's more interesting, then I need to emphasize on that. And okay, like the monsters came from another planet, then there was a war between both species, and then eventually, there was peace
Hmm.
and stuff like that. So it made more sense to have planets, and because monsters don't exist on Earth, like they came from somewhere, and
Yeah.
it's logical that they come from different planets. And so that's where I started to say, okay, so if a monster comes from Venus, then he's a Venus type.
Yeah.
And it was more logical to me to go with the flow of the story.
Hmm. Yeah, I actually think that's really cool. Like when I saw that, I was like, oh, that's pretty neat. I like that. So so like you just mentioned, they're based off different planets. We've seen four. I'm not gonna try to name the four because I think it was Jupiter, Mars, Venus, and Mercury.
Yes.
Oh, I was actually. Oh, okay, I remembered right. Okay.
Yeah. You're too good, man.
Will down the line, will we see any more types other than the four that have been revealed, or are we sort of just keeping it to the four?
I think I'll probably keep it to the four. We'll see if it's a problem in the future. I might add other planets, but
Yeah.
right now I want to keep it to four for two reasons. The first thing is I want to be kind of how can I say? I feel like I will betray Golden Sun if I add more than four because I'm using that as the main inspiration.
Yeah.
So I would like to keep it four like Golden Sun since I'm kind of referencing that game.
Yeah.
And the second thing is I want to find a way to make the battle system more interesting than just hey, this is an effective move, and then you use an effective move on me, and that's how it goes. I would like to introduce stuff with cards and maybe other things to make the game a little bit different from Pokemon and not just based on types. So that's why right now I'll just limit that to four, and then based on how things go and how I have to balance things, maybe I'll add something else. We'll see.
Yeah. Yeah, I have seen some people like saying four is not enough, but if you think about it, like Monster Crown only has 5 types. There's other games that there's other games that only have a few like a small amount. You don't need a bunch of types, right? Like it's just like you said. Pokemon has like 18 types, and honestly speaking,
that's
like,
crazy, man.
A lot of the types, like for example, you could fuse them to like even other games that try to be like Pokemon, they just fuse a bunch of the types together and they get rid of like every monster taming game I've played gets rid of Bug, Fairy, and Dragon because those are just monsters, as those aren't even elements.
Especially Fairy, that's really good.
Yeah,
I hate that type.
they always get rid of like fighting because it's like, well, fighting's not really an element. It's just an attribute. So like you can definitely make a game with less types. You don't have to have 80,000 types.
Yeah.
Speaking of the cards is actually something that I find really interesting. And you're mentioning like the game also takes inspiration from Yu-Gi-Oh. Can you tell us more about what kind of effects and what the inspiration was behind the card system?
Okay, so the thing is, as I said, I wanted to make something different from Pokemon, and I noticed that whenever I play a Pokemon game, I never really care about the moves that boost stats and stuff like that. I usually just have like the 4 moves that deal damage, and I just spam that. I hate like wasting time, like decreasing defense and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And so I was like, I don't want that in my game. Just full damage. But then I was like, okay, that will limit like the variety that I have in the game.
Yeah.
So how can I make it in a different way? How can I make it so that it's not forced?
Yeah.
Okay, maybe I can add cards. And the reason why I also added cards is because I wanted to make it so that it feels like you are fighting with your monster. You know, in Pokemon, it's always like monsters are fighting and you're not doing anything.
Yeah.
Maybe in the anime, you say, go, I don't know what, fight or deal whatever damage.
Yeah.
But when you play the game, you don't do that.
Yeah.
So with the cards, you can feel a little bit that you are fighting and contributing with your monster and make it a little bit more realistic and interesting, I think. So the cards will basically just like do different effects, like boosting attacks, changing your type, stuff like that. But how can I say? Just to change things a little bit, because the cards are basically like you draw a card every turn, and so you won't always have the thing that will allow you to boost your attack.
Yeah.
Maybe it will come in clutch, and it will save you, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just to add some variety, because sometimes you find yourself just, for example, if you have a lot of trainers, you will use the same move just to XP, and you don't care. Whereas with the cards, you don't know what the other guy has. So you can say, okay, if I use this move, maybe he has this card. Maybe I should do something else, you know? And it adds a little bit more strategy, and it removes that really repetitive pattern where you're using the same move over and over again.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's just to add some new stuff, I guess, basically.
Yeah, it's cool. Like so basically the cards there you basically get like a deck and you get so actually I was going to ask, are the cards consumable items, or are they just they get consumed once during battle, but then you don't lose them forever. You can just use them again in the next battle?
Um, no, actually, it's kind of tricky, but basically, you don't have items during battle.
Yeah.
You can only use cards.
Yeah.
Let's just change a little bit things. Because in Pokemon, for example, when you go to the Pokemon League, you just spam potions all the
Oh yeah.
time. So here, if your monster is about to die, rest in peace.
Yeah.
Unless you have like a healing card or
Yeah.
something,
Yeah.
or something, and that changes things a little bit. Again, I just try new things.
Yeah.
And the cards, you always have them. Basically, you'll be able to make a small deck, like 10 or 15 cards,
Hmm.
because above that, you won't use them in battle anyway. So there's no point.
Yeah.
And the point is to add a little bit of RNG, but not too much to the point where you hate yourself because you never get the card that you're needing. So you'll be able to use your deck anytime you want. There won't be consumables. It's just that maybe you'll have limitations. So only 2 healing cards in a deck, and you'll only be able to use healing twice in a battle, for example.
Okay, that opens up so many possibilities. I can imagine like there could be like quests for certain cards. There could be
Yeah,
oh man,
exactly.
that's really cool. And then even in battle, like we see in Pokemon, there's attacks like stealth rocks and stuff.
Yeah.
I could imagine like trap cards where it's kind of like that. Like you set it on the opponent's side of the field, and then like if they send in a monster, it takes damage at the beginning. There's a lot of it's got me really interested. It's really cool. Will the game have PvP?
I'm not sure. I don't think I'm gonna do PvP. It depends on how things go in the future.
Mm.
But my goal is really to make something like Golden Sun, like Final Fantasy, to make a game where you play the game for the adventure, not
Yeah.
because of the multiplayer side of it. So you play it for the story, for the adventure, and after that you can collect some monsters, you can collect cards,
Hmm.
you can maybe do some optional quests, stuff like that. Or get some dark forms, and that's it. Like it's not really meant to be multiplayer, and then you wait for the next sequel, I guess, if it works, of course.
Yeah, of course.
We'll
Okay.
see.
Okay, that's fair. So the next question, we've actually been talking about Golden Sun a lot, and I haven't I've always known what Golden Sun is, but I've actually never played it. So, can you explain a little more?
Wait. You never played the game?
No, I've never played it.
Okay. Ed, you know what? It was a pleasure to talk to you. I think we can do it another time. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Can you tell me which elements from the Golden Sun games that Final Stardust specifically took inspiration from?
Okay, so at the moment it's hard to say because the game is still in the beginning stages of the development. But you can see that there are types from Golden Sun. There are elemental stars that's also from Golden Sun. The idea of having like badges, I guess, that use or that can be used to do something that have certain powers and not just decoration. That's also kind of from Golden Sun because elemental stars are supposed to have power in them. And during dialogues, you always have like a character portrait where you see the face of the character who's speaking. That's also something that I added from Golden Sun. And in the future, I'll be adding way more things from Golden Sun, especially for the art style. So I showed you like the image about the new character sprite thing.
Yeah.
And basically, the UI in battle will pretty much also be similar to Golden Sun. I'll try to avoid Pokemon stuff, and so you'd have like 4 squares. Like I mean, it's hard to explain because you need to know Golden Sun.
Yeah.
But the UI would be different from a typical monster taming game, and you will also have other features in the future. Like I'm thinking about adding like a summon feature where, like in battle, you have spells. That's how I call them, or moves if you want.
Yeah.
And then you have cards, and then you have something else, maybe like summons or special moves or stuff like that. Where, for example, like right now I talk to the community and we have multiple ideas. For example, we can sacrifice 3 cards to get 1 special move or something. Or every time you use let's say a Mars spell, you get a stack, and then after 5 stacks you can use a powerful move or something. That's
Oh, cool.
also like
Yeah.
the same concept in Gods
Yeah.
and Sun, where you have monsters called djinns, and every time you use one of them, they stack. And when you have, for example, when you used 4 djinns, you can use a powerful move.
Okay.
So it's I might use something similar in the future, and obviously a lot of other ideas related to the story and stuff like that.
Okay. Really cool. Really interesting. I'm excited to see how everything turns out with the battle system, because a lot of games, it's like we were saying, are just like, pick a move that's super effective and have a good time. So I'm excited to see I'm
Yeah.
excited to see all the possibilities that like I would have never thought to add a card system to like the Pokemon kind of battling. So it's a really good idea.
Yeah, that's what I told you. It's basically me taking risks. Either it works and GG, or it's a flop.
Yeah. Well, I think it's working so far.
Yeah, so far so good. Hopefully.
So this is over to the voice acting portion. I love the idea of Japanese voice acting for certain segments of the game. I personally, I've always liked Japanese voice acting better than English, because I always find that English voice acting, like in dubs, is usually pretty bad. But anyway, what made you decide to include
I agree.
what made you decide to include the Japanese voice acting as a potential feature for the game?
So basically, because it was me trying, first me trying to make my story a little bit more interesting than Pokemon, because Pokemon had how can I say, it's the story just for the sake of having a story. It's like basically telling you go from point A to point B, and that's it.
Yeah.
There's no deep story like Final Fantasy, for example.
Yeah.
And so I wanted to add that, but I was like, how can I make it even more interesting? How can I make it even more original? And I was thinking about my Japanese. I was like, okay, I spent 2 years learning Japanese, and I know some stuff about Japanese, but how can I actually use it? And that's when I got to the idea of voice acting, because I also wanted, I'm a big fan of anime, and I wanted the game to have that anime vibe, or kind of feel like an anime when you play the adventure.
Yeah.
So it's like it would be great to have cutscenes and stuff like that, and then add voice acting. And I think it will make because I'm trying to make the game really original. That's why I'm taking risks.
Yeah.
And I think that or from what I've seen, no 2D game has voice acting, especially indie games.
Yeah.
So I was like, that's really new, and it can really add something new to the not only monster taming genre, but also 2D games.
Yeah. No, for sure. So, the plot of Final Stardust. Can you give us like sort of a basic premise as to what's going on? I know we get a little bit of a teaser in the trailer, but can you give us sort of obviously I don't want you to spoil anything, but just a general idea of what's going on.
Yeah, I guess I'll spoil just a little bit, like 1 or 2 things, but I'll try to avoid spoiling as much as possible. But but basically, it's you starting out with Mephisto, and basically the goal is to find Nefasto, because Nefasto, the villain or the other brother, basically disappeared from the village and didn't say anything. So basically, it starts with you trying to find Nefasto, and because you don't know why he left. And eventually, during the story, you will meet Fenrir, the White Wolf, your partner, and he will go with you throughout the journey because he's also looking for someone.
Okay.
And so since you're both looking for someone, it's like, okay, why not help each other and find these people or these guys or whatever. And basically, the main premise is Nefasto is the villain, and he's trying to destroy the world because your parents actually died because of Planos. Your parents, when you start the game, you won't see your father or your mother because they died due to Planos killing them.
Okay.
And that happened when Mephisto and Nefasto were young, and no one believed Nefasto when he said that Plano killed his parents because there's peace basically between Planos and Elementalus.
Yeah.
So he has a lot of hatred towards Planos because they killed his parents, but he also has hatred towards humans because they didn't believe him. So basically, he wants to eradicate all the Planos, but he doesn't care about destroying the whole planet if it means doing that, because he doesn't care about humans as well. Okay. So your main goal is basically to find Nefasto, and eventually you will realize that you need the 4 elemental stars if you want to be able to stop Nefasto, because He's building like this very powerful machine. And if you read the description about it, like Nefasto was always good with devices, and that's what he's using, like all his experience to build something that will destroy the whole world. And your goal is really to get the 4 elemental stars and catch him before it's too late.
Okay. Pretty cool.
That's like a very basic. I try to really
Yeah.
not spoil anything.
Yeah, no, it's I like it. So on that note, will the game, and again, I don't expect you to spoil anything, but how dark can we expect the game to get? I noticed a lot of, in the trailer at least, you get a lot of Nefasto screaming, "I'm gonna kill them all." So should we expect more mature themes in this game?
Yeah, actually, I wouldn't say it's too dark. Like my goal is to really make something, I would say, normal or a little bit more mature, because Pokemon is always targeting kids, and it's targeting more and more, or it's targeting kids more and more every generation.
Yeah.
So my goal is really to do something different from that and make something that can work for young kids and also for people like me. Now, is it actually dark, or like, am I trying it? Like, how can I say? I'm not trying to make it dark on purpose. It's just that it won't have limitations, so that if someone has to die to improve the story, then he will die.
Yeah.
I won't say, oh, because it's offensive to kids or whatever.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna do it. So it's just that, like, I'm gonna try to make an interesting story that's a little bit more interesting than Pokemon.
Yeah.
That has some plot twists and stuff like that. And then if there are some dark elements, then yeah, it's just how it is. But I'm not gonna force it or try to make it more and more dark, basically.
I feel like that's how Pokemon used to be back in the day. It was like, there's like Pokemon, at least for me, I'd even say the first 5 generations, even more so with the early ones, but even the first like 5 generations, yeah, they're technically made for kids, but they really felt like they were for everyone. Like, I could play Gold and Silver, Ruby Sapphire, Black and White, whatever, and I don't feel like I'm being patronized. But I feel like in more recent times, the games they're not for everybody anymore. They're just for they feel like they're just for kids now. Like you have situations where like you have an evil team called Team Yell. Like I can't take that seriously. You know?
Yeah, that's just BS, honestly. Yeah, and that's also why the first 5 games are my favorite, and I think a lot of people agree with me. Like all the old people love the first 5 generations because of that, I think.
Yeah, and for me, and the funny thing is, everyone will say it's nostalgia, but like for me, like Black and White came out when I was in high school. It's not like I was a little kid when those games came out, and even like X and Y, I didn't hate them, but like they definitely felt watered down. But I don't know, this last couple generations has been just very different.
Yeah, I mean, we also played the games when we were kids. It's not like I played the game when I was 25.
Yeah,
like Pokemon Gold. But I guess kids are getting softer and softer these days.
Yeah, it has
so
to be.
You need to adapt.
Something. Yeah. Okay, so we're gonna move on to some community questions. And we got some spicy ones here. Some
All right,
pretty good ones.
Let's go.
So first off is Cirque. And he's coming out
not him again.
He's coming out with the hardball. Would you be open to collaborations with other monster taming developers? And if yes, are there any specific games in particular that you'd like to work with if given the chance?
Like, of course, I'm open to collabs because I'm always doing things with the community, so I have no problem doing things with other people as well. I think it's really cool, and it's a lot of fun for everyone. Like, why not? As long as it's like or like it has mutual benefits.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
So as long as there's that, I have no problem with collabs. I think like I don't have any game in particular in mind or like a dev that I want to collab with. It's just that it has. How can I say? We need to have similar vibe or similar kind of game. I think that way it will work better. For example, I don't know if Koromon says you can use one of our monsters and vice versa.
Yeah.
Then I can say, okay, why not?
Yeah.
You know, like for example, I told Max from Chain Monsters.
Yeah.
I told him that I wanted to collab with something like this. I think
Hmm.
like before the campaign. But I was like, you know what? I'm not gonna ask anything because I don't know if I deserve it yet.
Yeah.
If the campaign works, then we will see.
Yeah.
But I still didn't get any answer, so I don't know. Maybe it's a no. Like I have no problem with collabs, as I said, as long as it works for both sides.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. They're always cool, and like you said, as long as the games make sense, like you probably wouldn't collab with like a game where it's like all demons or something.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So, Leo asks, your advertisement has been on point and has led you to raise over 10K on the Kickstarter without a team demo or in-game assets. Do you have any advice to fellow developers on how to advertise their games?
Yeah, I think you need to learn how to scam people. If you can do that, it will work. No, I'm just kidding. But
Oh, I thought you said scan at first.
no, scamming, like it's a scam. No, actually, I think the main problem with a lot of devs is that they treat the game as a passion and not as a business. I think if you want to make like a video game, you need to see it as a business. For
Yeah, you have
example,
to have a balance. Yeah.
yeah. Like if you go back from work and you're tired, but you really want to make progress, you're like, okay, I need to dedicate 2 hours to my side business,
Yeah.
and which is the game. And that way you can take it more seriously. Because if you just see it as a passion, you just do it whenever you feel like it, and it's not gonna work in the long run. Because games like have so much content and it's so complex, it's so hard.
Yeah.
Like it's like a real business.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So you need to consider that as a business. Otherwise, especially for like an RPG game, otherwise it's not gonna work.
Yeah.
And another thing that devs don't do is they don't try to learn other things besides coding. Like for example, a lot of devs that are like, I don't care about marketing. My publisher is gonna take care of that.
Yeah.
And that's cool. That's fine if you have a publisher.
Exactly. Yeah.
You know, but if you don't have a publisher, like me, for example, right now, what do? Like I'm screwed. So I need to at least have some basics about business and also about marketing. So that, for example, before the reason why my campaign worked is because I run some Facebook ads at the beginning. I didn't have like a big budget.
Yeah.
But I got some people at the beginning, so that's the initial boost was there. You know, we didn't start with like $0 or like $50.
Yeah.
And it got stuck. Like I got an initial boost.
Yeah.
And then I did a couple of other things, and it's like a snowball effect.
Yeah.
And eventually, after like 3 days, I think I had no money left. I couldn't do anything anymore. I used pretty much everything. But then the Kickstarter algorithm starts helping you. Yeah. And in fact, most of my donations right now are coming from Kickstarter itself. So I'm not doing anything when it comes to marketing.
Yeah.
I've done everything I could, and now it's
and then on top of that, you're streaming every day on your YouTube channel. That's something that definitely helps too, right?
Yeah, I'm streaming.
Exactly.
I'm sharing stuff
even
on
though
Twitter.
Your budget's done, you're still getting the word out there. I think that's something that's I'm not going to name any names, but I think that's something some devs need to realize.
Yeah, I think we both know what you're talking about, but let's not mention anything here. But I think it's really sad that a lot of people, like, there are so many devs who are way better than me, and there are so many people who have better games than me. The only difference is that I know more about business. That's really the only thing, and that's what made me progress things so. How can I say? That's how I progress so fast. I have a plan for everything. So, for example, I started things 4 months ago, and I'm already, having a campaign and everything.
Yeah.
And after that, I already have a plan for the prototype, and then I have a plan for the demo, and then I have a plan for the Switch thing, and then I have a plan for more funding, etc.
Yeah.
The only reason I'm thinking about all that is because it's treated as a business.
Yeah.
If I was seeing it as a passion, I wouldn't have any plan, and I would still be stuck at what's the story or something like that.
Yeah.
So
no, it's definitely relatable. Like, obviously it's different, but like even YouTube, it's the same thing. Like, I'm passionate about the videos I make, but I also treat it like a second job, because if I didn't, there might be times when I don't feel like making a video, and then I just don't, and then that turns into another day where I don't, and then another day and another day. So I definitely understand what you mean. Like, when I come home, my YouTube time is my second job. It's not just a hobby.
Yeah, I mean, you spend way too much time now on your channel. You can't really say it's a hobby anymore.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
It's almost like a side hustle or like a side business.
Yeah, exactly. So I can definitely understand that. And you could still be passionate about something and also treat it like a job. I mean, plenty of people are passionate about their work, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's not like I don't have any passion for my game. I wouldn't try to do things like this if I wasn't passionate. If I was just thinking about business. But it's not enough. That's what I'm saying. You need also to take it as how can I say, like consider that as a business,
Yeah, I fully agree.
and
Yeah,
so
for
that you
sure.
don't get too lazy,
Yeah.
because you would say, okay, 1 day fine, 2 days fine, it's just 3 days, but then in the long run, it becomes 3 months,
Yeah. Oh
and
no, no,
so after
you're
that,
definitely right.
you're just lazy. You're like, you know what? Do I really need to make a game?
Yeah.
Whatever. Let's move on. Let's play. There are already great games by AAA studios. Why am I making a game? I'm stupid. Whatever.
Well, a
So
good example is like me, for example. So I have a ROM hack that I work on here and there, right? I know I'm
yeah,
never gonna make money on it because it's a ROM hack, and so it's 100% just a hobby. If I don't feel like doing it, I just don't do it, right? Because for me, it's not like I don't treat it like a second business, and I've taken. Oh God! Like in between the last couple updates, I hadn't had any inspiration. I haven't been able to put aside time. I've taken like almost a year off working on it. So you're 100% right when you say like, if you don't treat it like that, 1 day turns into 2 days, turns into a month, turns into a year type thing.
yeah. Actually, I have the same problem with AMVs, like the video editing
Yeah,
stuff. I was doing that and it wasn't making any money.
yeah,
And so I can spend 15 years on it and I wouldn't make anything.
yeah,
So I think the goal is to find like a passion that can eventually bring money, or eventually
yeah,
turn it into business and make it your like how can I say, like your main income,
yeah,
if possible.
exactly. Nobody like everybody wishes that they could do what they love as their job.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Uh,
100%. Okay, so at this point, Final Stardust, and then, oh, sorry, let me make sure I say who this is from first. Bisloba asks, at this point, Final Stardust has still to find its unique signature art style. Although it is heavily inspired by Golden Sun, Yu-Gi-Oh, and Pokemon, it's still going to be rather different than any of the games previously mentioned. That being said, in terms of story-wise, if it has already been created and written, what was your main inspiration for the story? Was it inspired on one of these games you mentioned before, or is it something that you've sort of not really taken inspiration from anything and sort of just come up with on your own?
like the main inspirations are mainly how can I say, like I used those games as inspirations when it comes to game mechanics or art style, stuff like that. But the story is like completely mine.
Hmm.
I don't use any specific game or stuff like that. I'm just trying to do something like that has anime vibes, but I'm not using anything for the story. And in fact, when I started, I was like, I'm just gonna make like a Pokemon game, and I was like in my first prototype, I was trying to replicate something like Pokemon, so I was creating the pixel art and stuff.
Hmm.
And then I was too lazy to create another character. I was like, do I really have to make a villain and stuff like that? You know what? Let's make them brothers
Yeah.
and just change the colors, and that's it. And that's how it started,
Oh
actually.
yeah.
And then from there, I was like, wait a second. Actually, this is genius.
Yeah.
This can be a good idea. I can actually do this and this, and start to elaborate slowly but surely. And eventually, it became like my own story. But I'm not really using anything. Like the inspirations are mainly for game mechanics, monsters, art style, but the story is completely original.
Okay. Cool. Nazir asks, will you be able to catch all the monsters in the game, or will some of them be locked depending on certain choices you make in the story?
Like you won't have any choices that will impact the story. I think it's a little bit complicated to implement,
Yeah.
and it will just complicate things for nothing. I think it's better to have like a really unique story that goes like well with everyone,
Mm.
because if you add choices, like you can affect the experience that someone has with the story, and eventually the story can be like a little bit crumbling or not as solid.
Yeah.
So there won't be any choices. Like maybe some monsters will be unique to the story,
Yeah.
but I'll try to do my best to make it so that you can eventually acquire all the monsters, even if it doesn't 100% make sense,
Yeah.
because the story tells you that the enemy, you can't catch him or something. I'll make it. I will see if I can make it so that you can acquire him. Just because I know that some people really like the collection thing.
Yeah.
And one thing in Pokemon that was really annoying was that, especially in the past, like you had to go to these events or stuff like that
Oh yeah.
to
Yeah.
get those legendaries, and it was so annoying. And
Yeah.
eventually, hopefully, Action Replay came out, and you can just
Yeah.
cheat
Yeah.
with
Exactly.
some codes and get like a Pokemon that's supposed to be in Japan. Yeah, fun times.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So Gil asks, I know you developed from some small demos for your game, but what will be on the final version of the game? Oh, he's asking about the game engine. I know you already answered this. Why did you specifically choose Unity?
So I used Unity in the past, and I'll be using Unity for the game, and I'll probably use that for the next games as well. The thing about Unity is that, okay, actually there are a couple of things. The first thing is it's better to use a game engine that's really known, because that way you have like documentations, you have tutorials. For example, if you don't know how to do something, you just type Unity, whatever, lighting, and you can find a tutorial for that.
Yeah.
So it's really important to use something that's really known, especially if you're not like very experienced in the field.
Yeah.
So Unity is basically the most known one with Unreal Engine.
Yeah.
But Unreal Engine is more complicated, and it's also like overkill for a game like mine, like a 2D game. It's basically for 3D games or AAA studio games. It's not for games like indie games, or like, at least not my game. So it's just overkill, and it might be a little bit more complicated. The second thing is that Unity is not too complicated, but also a little bit complicated, and this allows it to work for basic games, but also for complicated games. And the good thing about this is that you can do what you want, for example, a 2D game, but if someday you want to make something a little bit more complicated, you can use the same engine.
You don't
exactly, have to change it or learn another one. You can just move on. So, for example, if everything goes well and I'm like, okay, Final Stardust 2 3D. Okay, we use Unity. We don't have to learn something else and we go back again from scratch and all that.
Exactly.
And finally, the thing is, Unity works very well with Nintendo Switch porting, because that's the main console that I'm targeting. And if you go to like the official website of Nintendo, you will see Unity as the only game engine mentioned. It's not that it's the only one that can add like Switch porting. It's just that it's the most recommended one, or it has things that make things easier. And obviously, why not? So since I'm targeting mainly the Switch, I would want to use a game engine that works well with the Switch to simplify things.
Okay. Yeah, I know. For example, like I know a bit of the game. I know how to code in the Game Maker language, but I know like Game Maker is not that good for 3D. Like Unity's a lot better. So if I was a game developer, I'd probably just whatever I was doing, I'd probably just move over to Unity, to be honest. Just because, like you said, if you made a sequel that was 3D, you'd have to like learn a whole new coding system if you wanted it to be the best it could be.
Yeah, basically, I always try to take a look at the long run and see the best option.
Okay, cool. So the next question's from the Grimmins dev, and he asks, usually the more interesting a card system is, the more balancing it needs. How do you plan to combat this and balance your combat system?
I think, how can I say? Like, I got a lot of suggestions from people saying you should play this game, like Kingdom Hearts. I think it was mentioned 3 times. And then other games. Honestly, I'm too lazy to play another game or like a full game.
I understand.
Like the thing is, my game is not Yu-Gi-Oh. Like it's not as complex as Yu-Gi-Oh. Like, the main thing is you're still fighting with spells or moves if you want. To make things more clear. So you use moves, and the cards are supposed to help you. They're not like the main thing in the battle. So it won't be too complicated. It won't be too fancy. It won't be like insanely overpowered and a lot of damage and stuff like that. It's just there to help you a little bit. And the deck is limited and all that, so it won't be like a big problem. Also, as I said, there won't be multiplayer for now. So
I was thinking that.
Balancing PvP and stuff like that, and say, oh shit, this card is overpowered. If it's a little bit overpowered in the story,
it's
not
rare.
a problem.
It'll be rare. It's a rare card. It's okay.
Exactly. So I don't think it's a big problem. Also, I'm doing a lot of things with the community, so I'll be sharing like the alpha version, and once I have a demo, I'll probably share that. The prototype, I'll also share it. So if I have a problem, sooner or later, someone will say, hey, this is not good. You need to fix this, or stuff like that. So I'm not completely on my own. I know that I can develop something and then give it to people and be like, help me, please. And then they can try the game and say, okay, this card is good, this is good, this is bad, and based on the feedback, I can always balance things.
Yeah.
So with all the elements that I mentioned before, I think it shouldn't be a problem.
Okay, cool. Marlon asks, Marlon I know is a big Yu-Gi-Oh fan. He was asking one very important thing in Yu-Gi-Oh specifically are the special summoning mechanics. Then he says, so I'm curious to know if there are any special ways to summon specific monsters to fight or catch.
Yeah, so this was what I mentioned before about the summons and adding something besides the cards. So I'm still not sure about what kind of system I'm gonna add besides like the spells and cards. If it's a summon, if it's fusion, there are like many ideas that I have right now. I'm not sure which one I'm gonna implement first. I guess I'll have to try. But like I might do something where you can use like a powerful move. But the problem with summoners is that sometimes there's a great monster, but you can't really get it.
Yeah.
And you're like, I want to collect all the monsters, but this monster in the summon, I can't get it. It really sucks. So I don't know if I'll do that. Like it depends because I kind of understand that. So maybe I'll just make it into powerful moves and stuff like that, or maybe try to make it with monsters. Like for example, there's something that I want to do, which is fusion, for example. And this is also inspired by Yu-Gi-Oh, where you can have one card, like a fusion card.
Yeah.
And you can fuse some Thanos, but only a limited number of Thanos. Of course, not like otherwise it would be a whole mess. But
that gets like, really complex.
yeah, it's too complicated. So maybe like 5 Thanos in the game, like that are really strong and hard to obtain, and you can use that. So maybe it would be just a fusion, and in that case, the new monster you kind of have it because it's a fusion of already existing monsters. So it's either fusion, powerful moves, but I'll try to avoid having a monster that you can't really acquire.
Okay, so on that note, that was all the community questions we got. Before we start to wrap things up, was there anything you kind of wanted to say before we move on?
I don't really have anything in particular. I think I covered pretty much everything. I'll just say that I try to do a lot of things with the community. I try to stream once in a while. I try to share things with the community, like on Discord, for example, naming the monsters, naming places, like giving a description to the monster. And I don't do any of that. I'm always like, hey guys, how should we name this monster? How should we name this place, etc. So I try to involve the community as much as possible. And so if you're someone looking for that kind of stuff and you want to contribute in a game, even if you don't know how to code, you're always welcome on the Discord.
Yeah, for sure. And I'll leave the Final Stardust Discord, the YouTube channel, you guys have a Twitter. Yeah, you guys have a Twitter. I'll leave the Twitter as well. I'll leave all that stuff. The Kickstarter. I'll leave it all linked in the description of this video, for anyone that wants to check it out. And thanks a lot for coming on. I'd love to have you on again when the alpha comes out. We can I don't know, maybe a week or two after the alpha comes out, we can sort of like talk about that as well. I'm gonna do like round 2s with everybody, so I'd love to have you on again in the future.
For sure, it was really fun.
Yeah, for sure. And everything's linked in the description, so make sure to check them out, guys. We'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.